did you first get started in the into armor and the history of armor from Japan?
It's a pretty long story. I actually started off when I was enrolled in martial arts when I was 7 years old. And about when I was 16 or 17, they started showing Japanese cartoons on standard TV. Kind of got me into it. I wanted to get a little bit more involved in the culture, you know. And so from there, that curiosity evolved when I started watching these old samurai films, like anything by Kurosawa, I just dug and loved. And from there, I just got curious and started really studying. And about when I graduated high school, that's when it really hit, and I really went into it full blown.
Alrighty, so tell us about your panel, the Armor of Feudal Japan. How did that go?
I got a lot more people than I expected. I had to put it that way. I take a more academic approach, so I wasn't expecting too many people to show up, but a lot of people did, and it turned out really well.
So you enjoyed doing the panel?
Yes, except carrying all this stuff.
It can get probably pretty heavy. So what surprises some people when they talk to you about the history of armor? I mean, you've gone over it with me personally on all the different styles and types, but how is it when people approach you? I mean, how do they start asking questions, or what is the most common question you probably get?
Probably the most common question I get would be, how do I make armor out of wood? That's actually probably the most common question, and you actually see that in a lot of modern media, but from all my research, unless it's armor that predates history, the Japanese did not use wood to create armor unless it was a decorative piece to hang on the wall, for example.
That's actually interesting. Thank you for that information. That actually is interesting. So when did you decide you wanted to do your panel at an anime convention about the topic?
Actually, that was last year at the Matsuuricon. Ohio Kimono approached me and said, you should really do a panel about this because you know your stuff. I love sharing my passions. I have done this before with a small group at a middle school. They asked me to come in, show how to put on the armor, and that went well, so I figured I could do this too at a panel, and I really wanted to do it because I want to bring a little bit more of the traditional ideas of what Japan was and still is in some cases.
Alrighty, and it sounds great that you're able to express yourself and show off what you know to other people and educate at the same time, so I applaud you for that. Now, is there some place online fans can get more information about the Armor of Feudal Japan and maybe a schedule of maybe where we might be able to see you next?
I can't give a schedule. I'm hit and miss because of my current employment, which I don't want to change right now. Yeah. But as far as the information online, that is a really tricky subject. There's a lot of information and misinformation on there. You get a lot of skewed ideas, and one of the big ones is breastplates for women. Never existed. No. But you get that type of things because a lot of times modern media kind of takes over tradition, creates their own little spin, and people see the modern stuff and they don't really understand how the old stuff worked. One of the websites is a forum I go to called Nihon Kachu. It's run by a man named Mr. Dave Thatcher, whose job is to restore old suits of Japanese armor.
Well, hopefully maybe we can meet him one day and discuss with him as well.
He kind of lives in England.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. All right. So what do you have to say to the fans that attended your panel and wanted to learn more about Armor of Feudal Japan? What would you like to say to all the wonderful people who came out to your panel on Friday night?
I'd like to say thank you for showing up. It's really nice to know that there is more people interested in there than, say, one or two that I usually bump into and ask for a picture, just kind of stop me. And, you know, just having that many people show up is really cool. I want to thank you once again. And as far as getting more information, once again, tricky stuff to get into. I really highly recommend it on getting published works, getting stuff from Japan. While you may not be able to read it, they have lots of illustrations to illustrate, and you can see various things. I have an old book that dates back to the Meiji era, in which actually chronicles a restoration project on that old armor.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for coming and discussing this with us. It's actually been very informative for me personally to learn about all these things. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.